Hi everyone, I'm here with Eric J. Morin, who is one of our authors and speakers and has built a really incredible practice coaching dentists and business leaders as well, and wanted to talk with Eric really about how he's built his business and some of the insights he has on the speaking side. So Eric, thanks so much for joining me.
Glad to be here.
Always a pleasure to talk with you. You're always so happy, which I love. So you've had a lot of success as a speaker. You recently actually sold 6 figures that you think might turn into 7 from the stage. So can you tell us a little bit about, just share your insight in terms of what the best way that you've found to really use speaking to grow your business is?
That's a big question. I think that there's nothing more you can do to build authority than being in front of a group of people talking about the subject, in the sense being vulnerable, being out there discussing the topic. And I think that it gives you that ability to create authority. Anytime you're up on stage, anytime you're in the front of the room, it says a lot about your own credibility. And so to me, it's been a huge part of building a business. It's been a huge part of where I'm trying to go. I think for me, that's why I came to ForbesSpeakers, just because I was looking to make that even bigger and get on a more of a national stage, which it's already doing for me. So I don't know if I answered it totally, but.
No, that's great. I mean, and I would just love to dig in more, because I always think, there's a lot of people who really understand that speaking can help raise their authority, and they see the light that keynote speakers are seen in, and when you're hosting your own event and all of that. But I think a lot of people have a hard time figuring out how to really get started, because they see the speaking business as something that could just completely take over. And if they don't want to be a pro speaker, how do you really balance it? So can you tell me just a little bit about your journey and how you even started, and kind of, if there was any sort of tipping point into, did you have success as a speaker right away, or really what was that journey into really being able to now use speaking to really as a direct business growth tool?
Well, that's a great question. I'll tell you why. Because the first event that I ever did that I said, okay, well, I'm going to put on my own event, because you can get invited to somebody else's event, which is fantastic. You can start your own event if you want to as well. So I decided I was going to start my own event. After 3 months of marketing, grand total of 4 people showed up. It was awesome. So, I think that's where, and I think even that day when that happened, I said, great. Even the greatest speakers in the world started off in a room with 4 people. And I looked at it like an intimate conversation. And then that room went from 4 to 8 to 10 to 100 so it allows, in a sense, it lets you get out the rust a little bit. Maybe that's okay that you started a small room. I think that I just put it out there. I put it out there that I wanted to speak and I wanted to deliver a message, and I communicated that to a lot of people. I think there's so many groups and organizations that are looking for energetic, powerful, strong speakers. You'd be surprised at the amount of organizations, and that's what I found pretty quickly. I had to limit the things I would take on, because there's so many great organizations that it's Thursday night and they're saying, gosh, I wish I had a great speaker. And so how do you find someone? I think part of it's letting people know that you want to speak. And I think it's communicating to people that that's an interest of yours and that you wanted to be part of certain groups. Is limiting. You can make it whatever you want it to be. If you want to speak once a month, if it needs to be 50 people, whatever it needs to be, you can certainly limit it. And I've gotten really good at how to define my room and get the right room. But I think if you want to do it, I think the biggest thing is, first of all, work on the art form. But second of all, let people know. I think that a lot of people don't communicate their message and that they have a message and that they want to share it. Because if you do that, there's so many people looking for great speakers.
That's great. And so, Eric, you're obviously very successful businessman. You've grown and scaled your business at an incredible rate. You're a Forbes speaker. You're putting out a book later this year, probably, on the 5 stages of wealth. So what would be your number one best piece of advice for any business person really looking to accelerate the business growth?
Using speaking? Well, I love this. Like a great question. I think speak with intentionality. And what I mean by that is this: what's the next step you want that person to take? I think what ends up happening when you're educated on a subject is that you love your subject and you love to educate on your subject and you love to talk about it. And we get such in this form, especially if you're doing any kind of consulting, where we just want to give them the buffet, right? We just want to tell them everything there is to know about what we're doing. And I think speak with intentionality. What I mean by that is not just to educate. I think that as soon as I say that, I think people go, I educate everybody. I think it's, why are you speaking? You know, what is it that you're actually trying to do? And maybe it is just to inform, okay? Maybe that's the case, but in most situations, it's not. Most situations, it's, I want this person to become a client. I want this person to buy my book. I want this person to buy my consulting services. I want them, whatever it ends up being. I think you have to clearly define first, what is it that I'm trying to get this person to do? What is it that I'm in front of a group? What do I want the next step to be? Because when I do that, once I figure that out, then I craft the entire message around the next step. So I'm informing that I'm doing it in a way to get them to do my next step. So I think a lot of speakers get up and speak and they just talk, and they leave a little tiny bit of room to go, oh, and by the way, if you're interested in my services, or, you know, hey, I've got a book if you're interested. Instead of saying the whole speech is geared around, hey, listen, I'm going to take you to the next level. I'm going to change your life, or I'm going to move your career, or I'm going to, whatever it is that your message is about, make sure you're crafting it towards the next step, so that by the time that the message is over, they literally are beating down your door saying, I just want to, what's the next step? And we've all been in that situation, right? Whether it be something we saw on TV or whether it be a group, we've all been in that situation where we heard a message. We were so moved by the message. We just wanted the next step. Even before, like, they got halfway through the message and we were like, oh gosh, please just tell me the next step. I think that when you speak with intentionality, that naturally happens. That when you start speaking with intentionality, knowing your message, every story should be around that intentionality. You know, everything you put into there should be about that. So I think that's the best piece of advice. I think most people speak to speak without intentionality around everything's about the next step, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. That's so right. And it's so interesting to me how speaking and book go hand in hand, because I would say that it's the same thing with the book, right? Like, so many people will come and talk about they want to do a book. And this is why traditionally, I think the thought of doing a book has always seemed a little altruistic and kind of like a legacy piece that maybe you do later. It's a bucket list item, as opposed to really actually being seen. No, this is a marketing platform that can help, you know, spark the moment of inspiration to help someone take the next step. And what is that? Like, what is the end goal here? The end business goal, ultimately, because we're in business, right? Otherwise,
That's
it would
right.
just be a hobby. So I love that. Eric, let me, with just our last few minutes left, I know you attended the ForbesSpeakers Symposium last year, and we're doing this event series as sort of a promotion for that, and obviously to add value to people listening. And the one thing everybody always wonders when they're looking at an event is, what is this event going to be like? Is it going to be worth my time? Is it going to be worth my investment? Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the symposium last year?
Well, I'll tell you two things too. Of course, I always add a little extra. So first of all, I think I sought you out before it was over once again, and I was like, I want to get started. And the reason why is because as I started creating something, I was like, I want to be a part of this. Now, one of the follow-ups from that symposium, just so I think let's go back down to it. It's ROI, right? Everyone's like, what's my return going to be? Well, one thing that Deborah said literally led to 6 figures. And so I literally got a 6-figure return off one piece of advice. And that's within like the first 30 days of the program. So I'd say that's pretty good. I would definitely be an advocate. That's why I'm doing this today, is I believe in the program so much. But I think it's about, and going back to intentionality again, being in that symposium, you're in a room with the intentionality of learning how to become and use, not just become a better speaker, but the platform. How do I build a platform to use this ability, or use my book, or use my knowledge base to build a career or build a platform to where I can grow my business using speaking? Well, there's not a lot of that out there if you start thinking about it. I mean, you can get some advice, you can, go in front of rooms, small rooms, but the idea is, and that was with me, I'm saying, hey, how do I fast track this? And being in a room for multiple days with intentionality, with, other people of the like mindset, who are going through the same things as I am, who have the same challenges, the same roadblocks, and the solutions are in the room too. Well, time's money. I don't have a lot of time to wait around or spend 3 years trying to figure out the game. So for me, getting there, sitting down, multiple days, complete intentionality, and then being able to use that to launch a path to get me there quicker. Well, I mean, that completely made sense to me. And I'm glad I went, obviously, and glad I engaged in the process, because the symposium to me was my launching off. It was like, how do I get the next step? How do I move into the next step? And that's why I'm a huge fan of it. And I would tell anyone to go, because that was an amazing event and amazing intentionality around the same common goal. When you get a bunch of really smart people and a lot of CEOs in the room, all trying to accomplish the same goal, awesome things happen. I mean, that's just the truth.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric. And I really hope you all will join us at the symposium, the Forbes Speaker Symposium at Forbes on 5th in New York, June 10th and 11th. And I would say just a second, Eric, I mean, he is the exact kind of person that this event serves. So really looking at business owners who want to use speaking as a marketing platform to really grow their business. We hope we'll see you there. And thanks so much for joining us, Eric.
Absolutely. Have a great day.